One of the things I encourage my clients to do when they're with someone who has an addiction, and I mean any kind of addiction, it can be a food addiction, it can be a gambling addiction, it can be a drug addiction, it can be a financial addiction, people who bounce checks, are irresponsible. All of these go into one category. And usually what happens is when you're dating someone like that, someone who won't take responsibility for what they need to deal with, their irresponsibilities, it's important that you don't get into the enabling part of it. And by enabling it, I mean, do you cover bounce checks for them? When neighbors ask, hey, I haven't seen the two of you together all weekend, do you make excuses? They're home sobering up and you're out. But you don't want to say that because you're trying to protect who they are to you in your mind. But it's not the truth. And when you begin covering for them or enabling them in any way, you become a big source of their problem. Like they never can get out of the rut if you enable it. If you continue to give an irresponsible grown-up child money, they'll continue to use it. They're supporting a drug habit or an alcohol habit or a can't go to work, can't function habit. If you support your partner who is dealing with food issues and uses too much food to medicate inside pain, and you go to the grocery store and you're buying more stuff, you go through fast food restaurants to accommodate them, you take them out all the time, this is your source of enjoyment, you're actually enabling their illness. They need to get a hold of it, and the only way they can get a hold of it is if you allow that space, you stop covering for them. I call this detaching with love. You see, many people, the reason they enable their partner in this situation is because they can't stand feeling mean, hurting them. They cannot stand or understand the idea of tough love. They can't stand to see their loved one homeless. They can't stand to see their loved one in the jail. They can't stand to get the judgments that other people are for sure going to cast their way, even if it's nonverbal, because they married someone with a big problem. Loving detachment means you understand the issue and you've decided you are not going to be part of it anymore. Let's say you're the child and you have a drunk. Your dad is a drunk or your mom is a drunk. It means that you'll quit getting called to the ER. It means you'll quit taking care of your parent and trying to sober them up. It means you'll stop bailing them out so that they can function in this world. If you're going to function, you need to be responsibility, because eventually, if you don't, you will break a law. And when you break a law, you're going to encounter the police department and the legal system, and that is that. Loving detachment says, I love you. You know, you've given me your life, or I love you. We shared a vision together, or I love you because we have a life together and we have children. But I am no longer going to allow you to interfere with my ability to function well, to take care of my children, and to live a happy life. Like, I don't need to be part of this. It helps if you go to an Al-Anon or some kind of a support group. It also helps if you go to therapy. But what's most important is that you use loving detachment. And that means all of those things. You begin making a line. You begin saying, this is my boundary. I'm not going to bail you out in the middle of the night. I'm not going to make excuses for you. I'm not going to be your food source in the case of a food addict. I'm not going to give you excuses anymore for why you tell me you need to continue this. It does mean that you will be there to support them. You will be there to listen to them. If they need a doctor's ride, you will be there, but they should know you are going to tell the truth. Loving detachment is the opposite of being codependent. Loving detachment says, listen, I was a whole person before I fell in love with you. You're a whole person. I'm not half of you. I'm not half of this disorder. I'm going to make sure that I have my life together. That means I need counseling to know what to do and how to handle life going forward, but I'm also not going to become part of your addiction or whatever you're doing that you haven't been able to take a hold of and deal with up to this time. I hope this helps you. It is a big problem. We have so many enablers, and they're usually the people that love the addict or the person going through irresponsibility the most.